Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to today's webinar. This is Globally Changing Lives Deep Dive, and today is a beautiful day. Regardless of where you are, we want to say we welcome you once more. And it's Tuesday, April 4th, 2023. We have an amazing program for you this evening, my evening, and we are happy that we're sharing it with you. So we're starting our webinar with a beautiful song, and please just put an eye on the images that are in this music. Thank you so much. Dr. Derek, please.
En passant. En passant, the future of internet.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Derek. Those images every week, you just surprise us with, with the theme of the week. This one I wasn't expecting, especially after the month-long celebration of International Women's Month on this forum. Thank you so much for highlighting the new version of In It to Win It with your images, as well as a reminder of what March had for us on this platform. And with that, it could not have been successful if we did not have the right mindset to be in it. Our CEO promises the physical, and we are working on the mental mindset. We have a queen in the house who is going to share with us, and everyone who is here knows her. So I'm not going to say anything lengthy about her because we have been trying to get onto the webinar earlier. So I'll just introduce one of our very own, Queen Tuneshaya, who is the founder of Your Own Uniqueness. And she's not just a founder, but she's a CEO. And she also is an author of 4 books. So please, without further ado, let's welcome a very well accomplished lady here who inspires us whenever we ask her to be with us. And she was also part of the awesomeness that we used in March to celebrate the women in our lives. We honor you, our Queen, Dr. T. The microphone is yours.
Thank you so very much, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. It is definitely an honor to be here. You know, I brag about this because I tell people, I speak to people from all over the world. So I am truly an international speaker. Because I know, I mean, you're from all over the world, and I am so honored. I'm just elated that I have this opportunity, and Dr. Derek has given me this platform. So thank you so very much. But this evening, I want to talk about a topic that I think is so important to all of us. I mean, during the webinars, we've covered so many things. I've had an opportunity to speak on many topics, but there's a group of people that we have not really addressed, and that's our youth. And I know that many of you, when we start making money from On Passive, many of you have already set up accounts, and you already have your plans to make sure that the next generation will be well taken care of financially. But as we talk about, this is a mindset platform. So I'm going to challenge you tonight, and I'm going to ask you a question. And the question is, what about the mindsets of our youth? It's not just enough to give them a financial legacy. It's not just enough to make sure that they're well taken care of financially. But what about those things that are intangible? What about their spirituality? What about their values? What about their personalities and character? Are we addressing those things? So, you know, whenever I prepare messages for Deep Dive, I always try to think outside the box. I know this is a business platform, but I also know that you are a group of people who value every aspect of your life. It's not just about the money. Like every time Queen Debbie introduces me and Dr. Derek, they always say that, Mr. Asma Farah is going to take care of the physical, which is the money, but this platform is for that mindset. And in order for us to move forward, we've got to make sure that the next generation, the generation that's coming behind us, is set. Because I'm going to be very honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm concerned. I am really concerned. And let me just say this too, because I don't want to open this on a negative point. I want to say something very positive. Last week, during our month of celebrating women, we had an 18-year-old, and she did a phenomenal job. We're all very proud of her. But unfortunately, all the youth we have are not like her. But we want to create more youth like her. So we're going to work on making sure that our youth going forward will have a mindset where they can thrive. They will have a mindset where they can serve God and have an impact in this world, and not leave a legacy where somebody reading the paper 20 years from now that they killed someone, or they leave a legacy where they embezzled money, or they leave a legacy where they committed suicide, and that's their story. No, we want to leave a legacy with our youth when we can say someone like the young lady that spoke last week on Deep Dive. We want to be able to leave a legacy like that and say, hey, we have an 18-year-old who's going to be thriving. She's on passing and she's going to be doing great things and making a great impact in the world. That should be the story and the testimony of every youth that's under our charge. So right now, I'm going to charge you all and give you the responsibility by teaching our youth life lessons. So right now, I have life lessons we should teach our youth. I have 14 of them, but for the sake of time, and just because I want you to really ingest this is going to be a two-part presentation. I'm going to do 7 of them today. And if you all allow me, I'm going to do the other 7 next week, because I really want you to get this in your spirit. I want you to get this real deep down inside, because this is so vital to where we're going. It's not just enough that we have money. So many times as parents, as grandparents, guardians, when we have children involved, we push them to achieve financially. We push them to achieve in terms of notoriety, and we teach them, how to, many times they become very materialistic. But those things are important. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that you shouldn't want nice things. And I'm not saying that you should not desire to be great in what you do. But I still say that the most important thing, those things that are intangible, those are the things that we should focus on. So before I get into the meat of my presentation, I want to make this statement. Anybody that you may know of right now who is pregnant, who's carrying a baby in their womb, the first thing they should do, this is going into what we're getting ready to talk about tonight, they should lay hands on their belly, on their womb, and begin to speak life into this child. And I don't mean just come into the world and breathe. I'm talking about speak destiny into this child. I'm talking about speaking the kind of personality and the character and the mindset that this child should have. Begin to speak to that child right now. It's been proven scientifically that the baby, they can hear you. If they're growing in the womb and their little senses are developing, you can talk to your baby, and you can begin to decree and declare what kind of life and outcome that your child can have. You're already making precedents as the kind of life that you want God to form for their lives. And you have that responsibility. And that's something that a lot of people don't think of. But while that baby is in your womb, you can start shaping their destiny. You can start shaping the outcome of their lives. You can start shaping the personality and character that these children will have. And then when they come out of the womb, don't stop there. When they begin to walk, when they can begin to communicate and be able to understand what you're saying to them, begin to tell them you will be successful. You will be a godly woman. You will be a godly man. You will go forth and make an impact, a positive impact in this world. Begin to tell them that. They may look at you a little crazy and say, I don't know what you're talking about, Mom, but it doesn't matter. God knows what you're talking about. Your little spirits know what you're talking about. So that's the first thing we should do. So I want to get right now into the meat of what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about the life lessons that we should teach our youth. And the number one life lesson we should teach our youth, we should at an early age teach our youth about God. Yes, I said that. We should teach our youth about God. Teach your youth that there is a higher power. You can call him whatever you want to call him, okay? But let them know there's someone out there greater than you. Teach them that it's important that they practice at an early age godly values. Teach them to pray. Teach them to communicate with the God. Teach them to understand that when there's trouble or even when things are going well, that every day to acknowledge God, to let them know that when you wake up in the morning, say, good morning, God. You know, as they go on the path of their day, even as little children, to acknowledge him. Because even in that, God wants to direct their paths. And this is one of the reasons why you have so much havoc in the world, because our children don't know how to pray. Something as simple as even blessing their food. Something as simple as getting in the morning and their little feet hit the ground. Good morning, God. You know, good morning. How are you today? Please guide my day. Show me what you want me to do. And I know that God will honor that. So if we teach our children at an early age how to honor God, how to have a relationship with God, that's the beginning of the rest of their lives right there. The word of God says to train up your child in the way it should go. Teach them about godly principles. Teach them about God. And when they get older, they may make mistakes, but they're not going to veer off too far from that, because they're going to go right back to the source. They're going to learn how to go right back to the source. So number one lesson is to teach your children at an early age about God. Teach them about God. Teach them that there is someone out there greater than themselves, and they can have a relationship with this God who is concerned about every aspect of their lives. That's the first lesson. And the second lesson, and again, remember, I'm going to only cover 7 because I really want you to get this down in your spirit. And we're going to cover the next 7 next week, because I don't want to overwhelm you with a lot. Okay. So number 2 lesson is teach them that honesty is not the best policy. Honesty is the only policy. Honesty is not the best policy. Honesty is the only policy. Always make sure your children understand that they don't have to lie. And try to avoid situations where they feel compelled that they have to lie. Always tell your children to make sure that you put yourself in a situation all your life that you don't feel threatened, or you don't feel like you feel insecure about something that you may have to lie about it, because you don't want to ever see your children feel insecure and feel frightened about things. The world is a very scary place as it is. And when children or our youth are growing up, a lot of things come to them, or they're faced with a lot of different issues. They may feel that they have to lie to stay out of trouble, or not to hurt somebody's feelings, or not to get in trouble with different situations. And we're trying to teach our children that honesty is the best policy. You do not have to lie. And also to surround themselves with other people who have integrity. Because if they are surround themselves around adults and other like-minded people, they will learn that lying is not necessary. One of the things I always practice, because I don't like to lie. I don't want to lie. I don't want to be dishonest with anybody. So if somebody asks me a question, or I'm in a situation that I feel uncomfortable in, I'll just let them know I don't want to address that. I'd rather tell them I don't want to address that. I don't feel comfortable with that question, rather than to lie to them. And that's the way we can always address our children, teaching them that honesty is not the best policy, but honesty is the only policy. Because when you tell the truth, when you are honest, it makes sure that you don't compromise your values just to fit in. Because sometimes, especially with adolescents, our youth are very influenced by their peers. So they find themselves compromising their values just so they can be a part of the in crowd. We want to teach our children to be independent thinkers. We want to teach our children to be independent in their mindset. They don't have to be like the status quo. It's not about fitting in. It's about standing out. And those are the things that we want to teach our children. So lesson number 2, again, is honesty is not the best policy. It's the only policy. The third lesson, this is very important. Treat others as you wish to be treated. Treat others as you wish to be treated. Oftentimes you find yourself, and I know that we are guilty of this too. We are reactive. We react. If somebody hits you, you may be, I'm going to hit you back. If somebody says something to hurt your feelings, I'm going to say something to hurt your feelings back. That's not right. We're taught that, we want to treat people the way you want to be treated. In other words, you be the example. You be the example. Be the bigger person. Teach your children to be the bigger person, because that's the greatest form of self-love. Because when you can be the example and you're not the reactor, that you don't react to bad behavior, then you're showing yourself that you're the bigger person, and then you're walking in that self-love. And that's why I say I didn't stutter. I mean self-love, because the greatest love is the love that you have for yourself. Isn't that what God said? First of all, you're going to love God with all your heart and all your soul. And then what do? Love your neighbor as what? As you love you. Okay, so you're the most important person there. Okay, after God, then comes you, because you're going to love your neighbor as you love you. So you want to treat people the way you want them to treat you. You don't treat them the way they treat you. They may not always treat you right, but you need to set the example, and you want to instill in your children to set the example. Just because somebody says something unkind, just because somebody make statements that are not kind, not true about you, you don't have to react to it. Learn how to treat people the way you want to be treated. These are the things that you want to instill in your children and your youth while they are growing up and they are developing to becoming adults. Number four, good manners go a long way. Now, a lot of people may think, oh, that's not about anything. That is so important. Having good manners. Have you ever experienced a small child, let's say a 5, 6, 7-year-old, and I don't know if you ever experienced it, but I have. You give a child, you put something in the child's hand, and they just look at you. They don't even know how to say thank you. And that's a taught behavior. It's not because they don't appreciate it. They just don't know what to do. And that's because a parent or a guardian hasn't taught them. When someone gives you something, say thank you. Okay? Have you ever been in a situation where you make a phone call? These are talking to the adults right now. You make a phone call, you make a business call, and you say to the person who answers the phone, hello, how are you? And they say, I'm okay, how can I help you, ma'am? Or whatever it may be, how can I help you, sir? They don't even know how to have a dialogue. They never say, well, how are you doing? Okay, again, those are taught behaviors. There are many adults who have never been taught how to be mannerable. Okay, if you're walking down the street and you make eye contact with somebody, what's wrong with opening up your mouth and saying hello? These are all pleasantries. You'll be surprised how manners, having good manners and being kind will open up many opportunities. Let me tell you a true story. I used to walk my dog on a regular basis. I used to go to a park near my house. And there was a woman that I would see all the time because she walked in the park around the same time that I would walk my dog. So I would always say hello to her. And one particular day, she stopped me and she asked me what my name was. And I told her. And in dialoguing, she found out that I was a speaker. And I also found out that she was over HR at her bank. So she asked me to come and do a presentation at her bank. Now, because I was pleasant and because I used to always speak to her when we passed each other, that opened up a door for opportunities. So good manners do go a long way. Saying thank you, please, may I, excuse me, and even saying hello. These are areas that you want to instill in your children when they're small, because you never know, just being pleasant, just having manners will open up a lot of doors. They will also give them a self-respect and let them know they're respecting others. Let me tell you another story. When I was probably in the 3rd grade, and I used to go to a Catholic school. And I remember I was walking past a nun. My mother used to always tell me as a little girl that when you walk in front of people, always say, excuse me. Now, I know you all have been in a situation where people walk over you, step on your feet, almost stumble over you, and they just keep going. They never open up their mouths. I've experienced that. But this particular day, being in the 3rd grade, a little girl, I was at the Catholic school, and I walked past a nun, and I said, excuse me. And she said, little girl, come here. She said, what is your name? And I told her, and she said, oh my God, you are so mannerable. And that made me feel so good. That let me know that my mommy taught me well, because I always said, excuse me. Whenever I walked in front of somebody, when I walk into a room, I always speak. These are things that we should teach and instill in our youth, in our children when they're small, because those particular actions will go a long way. Number 5. You need to teach our youth it's not always about you. Okay? Number 5. It's not always about you. We need to teach our children when they're little. It's not all about you. That's why a lot of people, even when they become adults, you see women You see men and women, they're very selfish, they're self-centered. They think the world evolves and revolves around them because they weren't taught as a child that it's not always about you. You don't have to always have your way with things. That's why a lot of marriages break up because the woman or the man is either their way or no way. They don't want to compromise. They don't want to see the other side. They're very opinionated because they were not taught as a child that it's not always about them. We need to steal those lessons in our children when they're growing up and let them know, hey, listen, it's okay to desire things, but there are other people's that's important too. Either what they want matters also. It's not always about what you want. It's not always about what you need. We need to share and learn how to coexist in this world. So again, it's not always about you. And number 6, this is number 6, have good work ethics. This is so important. Now, I know when I was growing up, and I'm pretty sure most of you, we were taught by our parents to put in a good day's work. Don't cheat your employer. Don't take long lunch breaks. Don't goof off on the job. You know what I'm saying? Don't try to be stealing items from the job. That means don't take pencils home. Don't be taking paper home. Don't take material that doesn't belong to you. We got to teach our children those things. And when you work, make sure you work with diligence. Make sure that you work and have a mindset where you really get to the point where the employer will see you. You want to have integrity in that. I mean, I've heard stories where the employer would actually look at different employees to see how they're performing because they want to find out, is this someone that I can trust? Is this someone that I want to give a promotion to? So make sure that even at a young age, when our young people start going after jobs, teach them before they apply for a job. Make sure that you have integrity on that job. Make sure that you get there on time. Make sure that you clock out when you're supposed to and not a minute before. Make sure that when you work that you give it your best. That's why it's so important that you encourage your youth to go after jobs they'll enjoy doing, because it's going to be very hard to do those things if they're at a dead-end job or they don't enjoy their job. So 2 things are going to happen here. You want to teach your children to have good work ethics, but you want to also teach your children to go after jobs they could possibly enjoy. That's just a little tidbit. Okay. And then the last one that I want to share with you all today is focus on learning. Teach your youth to focus on learning, not just education. There's a difference. I can go out there and get an education. I'll get my A's and get, do well on my papers and things like that. But we are constantly learning. You want to instill in children and our youth while they're still young, before they become adults. It's not about just getting an A. It's not about just completing a course. You're forever learning. Knowledge is power, and everything is not in a textbook. Everything is not sitting in a classroom. Knowledge is something that you want to have every day. There's so many things. There's a big world out there, and we want to expand ourselves. We want to grow spiritually. We want to grow psychologically. We want to grow intellectually, but we have to surround ourselves around things that will help us grow. So in other words, focus on learning, not just education. It's not just enough to go to school. It's not just enough to get good grades. I mean, I can get good grades by cramming. I can get good grades by cheating. Yes, I said that. Okay, but it doesn't mean I learned anything. So when you teach your children, encourage them to focus on the craft of learning, not just education. So that's my presentation for the night. I want to wrap it up with number 7, but next week I want to go through the next 7 that I think will be just as interesting. So I really do appreciate you allowing me to share tonight. Again, part 2 will be next week. So our lesson tonight was to do lessons that we want to teach our children. So thank you so much for allowing me to share. Thank you. God bless.
Dr. T, I'm clapping for you?
No.
I know you are an international speaker. You're an international mother, grandmother, sister, auntie, parent to every human being, regardless of gender, regardless of color. And the reason I say this is because the issue that you just touched on today is global.
Yes.
It's not in any particular part of the world.
That's right.
It's universal.
It's universal, Debbie, Queen Debbie. It's universal.
Yep.
Yes.
And it's right here deep down because I have children, biological and adopted. And what you just said, I took notes and I'm going to have a family meeting with them to share that. All those 7 life lessons that you've just shared with us is something that I hope every parent, every grandparent, everyone who has, even a neighbor who is a child, please share that with them. And especially in developing countries, and I know in Asia it's the same because in Africa, it is not the family that brings up a child, it's the entire village. The entire village, in the sense that I used to walk to school when I was a kid. Nobody accompanies me, and everyone knows who I am, and I know who everybody is. So if I misbehave on the way to or back from school, I will get a scolding, not from the first adult who meets me, but the next adult who is aware of what happened until I get home. And when I get home, oh Lord behold, depending on how far that scolding had reached, my parents and every older person will also lash on me. So you learn that lesson from the entire village before your immediate family. So we all grew up that way. But depending on where everyone is, the culture also has an impact. And the media also has an impact.
Yes.
You just shared, I don't want to take your job today. You just
no, please, no. Go ahead, please.
What you just shared today, I'm sure during questions and discussions, all of this will come up, but I'll just end it here by saying we appreciate you coming up with all these wonderful things to share with us, because it really helps us to grow as individuals, as families, as we move forward in OnPassive.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like it's not just enough, Queen Debbie and everyone on the webinar, to be successful with OnPassive. I know Mr. Ashburn heart, we all do. But I know that he is also equally concerned about our youth, as we should be. And I know we are. Mm-hmm. And I just thank God that I'm on a platform where all of you, and I know all of you, have a certain mindset. You came in with a certain mindset. You came in with the mindset to grow and to help and to make an impact. I know that. All I'm doing is just giving you a few more tools that maybe you may have put down for a moment, but you want to pick it back up and utilize it. We cannot forget about our youth. Look at what's going on in the world. Okay, I mean, how can a 6-year-old take a gun and shoot a teacher? I mean, I can't even fathom that. I'm still blown away by that. You know, look at the 28-year-old who came into the Christian school and killed three innocent babies and 3 adults because somewhere in her development, someone didn't take the time to share with her these values. She didn't know about God, that's for sure. Because I'm pretty sure if she knew about God, the furthest thing from her mind was to try to retaliate and hurt someone. That's why I said the first thing I said was teach your children about God while they're young and while they're in your womb. Begin to pronounce their destiny. Begin to talk to that child. That child can hear you. You know, begin to talk to that child. Tell that child, you do have a purpose. You will fulfill what God has called you to do. You will have a positive impact. You will leave a positive legacy. You will have a great character, a godly character, and you will serve God. Begin to speak into that child's life while it is in your womb. And it has no choice at that time but to listen to you because it can't go nowhere. It's right there near your heart.
Thanks again, Dr. T. We truly appreciate you.
Thank you.
We are going to save space in our minds for the second presentation.
Yes, thank you.
Of this series.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Very much appreciate it. All right. I am going to, at this stage in the program for tonight, I'm going to call on our king, our brother, and the person who inspires us and welcomes us with peace, blessings, and enough love. And he's that one person
Dr. Derek.
who stands from morning to evening, from one webinar to another, rain or shine, on his feet. And he's the one who creates all the backdrops that we are honored to be using. And the music, the images that come up, it's his imagination that creates that for us. We take it for granted. People who do that for a salary, do you know how much they pay them?
A lot.
And he's doing it and sharing with us from the goodness of his heart.
Praise God.
Amen. And without further ado, please let's welcome Dr. Derek Clark.
Dr. Derek.
Oh, mercy. All right. Peace, blessings, enough, holy, and plenty, lots of love to everyone. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Dr. T. Tony Shai. Really appreciate it. It was awesome.
Thank you.
I tell you, those seven hit the spot. Because yes, we forget our children, we forget our youths, and they are the ones that are going to shape the world in the next 20 years, 25 years. They are the ones that will be the forerunners. And if they are grown to just leave out God out of everything, then you know where the society is 25 years from now, 30 years from now. And it will be a very sad situation. But anyway, let us really in love counsel and love our children with the love of God. Thank you very much again, Dr. T. Thank you very much, Queen Debbie. Really appreciate the kind words. And thank you for all our brand ambassador here. We do apologize for the Ray and the Lele and all the crazy thing that happened just to log into this webinar today. And yeah, when we use OTrim, the new OTrim, it asks for email and to get OTP and all of those good stuff. Quite possible, maybe because I did check for that to be done. My apologies. But thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Okay, let us stop the babbling and start to look at a few things. All right. So first of all the tools that you are going to need in OnPassive is in OnPassive to build your OnPassive business if you are active. Notice that last part. If you want to be active, because we are not telling you as a founder or as a brand ambassador to be active, right? And active, we do mean that you are going to share. That's all. Just need to share your business or share your company or share your link with someone. That is what active mean. And if you don't want to share, please remember that it is not a must. You don't have to share. You don't have to go out there and create all of this and create over there and create with third-party things and, you know, all of those things. That is why OnPassive is building everything in-house. Everything is in-house. Okay? And so before we close off the YouTube, because I might be sharing some very potent information. Just want to thank all those who are on YouTube thank you very much for your participation at this time. And we do hope and trust that if you have the link to the Zoom meeting, there's still some room in the Zoom meeting to come on over. And, only brand ambassadors will have that link. So if you're a brand ambassador and you're on YouTube, you got to come over onto the Zoom at this time. So thank you very much, YouTubers that are on YouTube. Thank you very much, and you have yourself